Welcome back to the latest episode of the Key and Mang audio experience. I'm your host, Mang. As always, I'm with my fellow co-host, Key. Key, what's good?
Hey. Hi. How are you?
What's up, little baby?
I'm chilling.
Good. Today, another solo one. Haven't done another one of these in a while, but I think it's an important one. Something that as we've grown in our careers that has taken more of an importance as we continue to level up and try and get more bread. Today we're talking about budgeting, some of the myths and misconceptions, how we individually started, lesson learned over the years, and tips and tricks that we've learned along the way to make it easier and less overwhelming. So Key, I'm gonna throw it to you first with budgeting myths and misconceptions. What were some that you thought of growing up, and how did you come to learn they weren't true?
Me personally, I thought that like I could just keep track of my spending in my head. That's what I thought. That was my misconception, but I think that common misconceptions include budgeting is like more so for people who don't have a certain amount of money. It's like about being cheap. It's restrictive. I think those are the common ones. And then also some people think that like if they make a certain amount of money, they don't need to budget. When all of those are false because it's about having a game plan. So it's not about being restrictive, it's more so about knowing where your money is going so you can set yourself up to be able to save and put yourself in a better position going forward. Because if you're trying to keep track of it in your head, you aren't going to be able to, and you're not going to know like what you're spending too much on, what you can cut down on, and things like that. So I think budgeting puts things into perspective.
Yeah, I think being able to see it written, seeing your finances, your what you're bringing in and your expenses putting out written on paper. One, it takes less space in your brain, so you don't have to like keep everything locked in there because there's a lot that goes on throughout the day, throughout the weeks. It's gonna be hard to keep track of everything. You're gonna forget something. You might add on something twice in your head. Like there's just a lot going on, so it's easier to have it to see it and have it on paper. And I think that's what really worked for me too, because I would try the same thing and keep it in my head, and I would find that I'm totally misaccounting for this one thing, or I totally forgot I spent money on this. So then, I think for me, I was curious if I wanted you to talk more about the if you make a certain income that you don't have to. Like, can you like why do you feel like budgeting is for just people who make a certain amount of money. Like, why is budgeting good for everyone?
I think budgeting is good for everybody, no matter how much you make, because I'll give you both situations. So you don't make a lot of money, I think you have to be more aware of where it's going so that you don't dig yourself into a hole, right? But then on the other side of things, if you make a lot of money, like let's use the number 100K, it's not a lot of money, but a lot of people don't make 100K. So say you're making 100K, you're just spending endlessly. Like you can just be like undergoing lifestyle inflation and not even know it, and you don't even have anything to show for making 100K. You know, like you could just be spending all your money, and without having a budget, trying to keep track of all that in your head, you may not even know. So I think it's helpful on both ends, and like we said on a different episode, it's not really about how much you make; it's about how much you keep. And budgeting allows you to put yourself in a position where you're able to keep more.
Okay, gotcha. No, I follow. I just wanted to clarify that point. I think it's a good point that it's not just one demographic or one person that can benefit from it. I think if you have a game plan moving forward, it can do wonders for you as long as you like stick with the plan and are disciplined enough to be like, all right, this is what I got this month. This is where my money, this is what I have to pay. This is where my expenses are, but I'm gonna have this much left over. This much X is going to this, Y is going to that. And then the rest you figure out how to allocate through. Um, what other myths did you wanna hit on?
I don't have another myth, but I do want to say that, like with everything being digital, I think it's even more important to budget because Like I know I use Apple Pay a lot. I don't really pull out my card. I'm not really carrying cash a lot. So I think it's easy to just either swipe or just put your phone to the scanner and not even pay much attention to it. So a whole week could go by, you don't even know how much you're spending. And if you have like credit cards on there, stuff that doesn't really require you to have your money on there, and you like have like a high limit, you can easily go crazy spending. So if you're not continuously like checking what you're spending, keeping track of receipts and inputting that somewhere, or having like an app on your phone, it's easy to like get out of control, especially with everything being digital.
And maybe I'm naive to this because I don't have Apple Pay. I'm a little behind, I guess. But I don't carry cash a lot either. But when you swipe, I mean, when you put your phone on the reader, doesn't it not charge your credit card?
So it charges your, it depends. Like you can use Apple Cash. Like if you send me money on Apple Pay, it goes to like my Apple Cash and I have that cash on my phone. So it'll just take it out of that balance. Or you can choose a card. But like me, I have all of my cards on there on my Apple Pay. So I can pick which one I'm gonna use. So yes, it charges your card, but I'm saying if you have like if you use credit cards, like say you use one credit card for the entire month and you have like a $10,000 balance on there, you can easily spend a lot of money if you're not keeping track. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I guess I'm just like, if you're charging the credit card, you still see it on the statement.
You do, but if you're not budgeting and you're not really paying attention to where your money is going, it doesn't really matter. Like I can spend like $500 a month on food if I don't look. You
Okay,
know what I
okay,
mean?
that's true. Okay, gotcha.
So I think that yes, it shows up on your statement, but unless you're budgeting, you probably just pay your balance and don't even really look at where those numbers are coming from.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that
And,
makes I
and
follow.
budgeting forces you to kind of look at that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So then dive into how you started budgeting, your way of budgeting.
I don't know if my way was the best way, but I started budgeting by putting all of my like expenses, like my set expenses, writing those down into a spreadsheet or a template that I found online. And I had those set, so I know how much money was going out, definitely like guaranteed every month. And then I just went about my month like how I normally would and recorded everything, like kept all the receipts and inserted it into the spreadsheet and it tallied up everything I spent. Then at the end of the month, I looked at it and saw where I should cut down at. And then going forward, then I set like certain ranges of what I want to spend for each category, like food out, groceries, um, clothes, savings, stuff like that, investments. And then I cut down that way because I wanted to see like what was I spending normally because I didn't want to like set budgets for certain categories without knowing what I was already spending. So let's say I was gonna spend like $100 on groceries. I wanted to spend $100 on groceries, but I'm really spending like 350. I feel like $100 isn't feasible at that point. So I wanted to see what my numbers were and then cut down from there. I think sometimes people do it a little differently, but that's how I did it. And then I just use that month to month and just keep track of it and try to get better each month.
I like that. I mean, I think my process was kind of similar, but I took my last 3 months of my credit card statements because I've charged everything to one card. So I could see what month to month what my charges were looking like and where I was spending my money, what comes out monthly, what are the bills I have to take care of. And then I didn't use any apps. I just used my notes app on my phone and just wrote down what expenses I have to take care of every month. And then based on the 3 month averages, that's how I averaged out gas, that's how I averaged out groceries, that's how I averaged out some of those expenses. Now with like travel and stuff, like travel's a little harder trying to fit that into budget because I do like to hop on flights and stuff. So I don't really account for that, but I do make sure to save a little extra when I'm looking at trying to go somewhere. Accounting for ticket prices and hotels. But I think using the 3 months of credit statements helped me put it all down on paper. This is where I'm spending. This is what I'm doing, and this is how much I'm bringing in, and this is how much I need to allocate to different things, whether it's savings, whether it's emergency fund, whether it's investments, whether it's whatever it may be. I think that's just helped me keep it simple and make sure I can stick to it, but also give me the flexibility if I decide I want to spend on something else.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. I do like the idea of just outside of budgeting. I do like the idea of putting everything on one card because it is easier to track when you do start budgeting. Because you can just do like what you did, like take your last three statements and everything's there. I think it makes it easier as opposed to using different cards. So if somebody is looking to start budgeting, that's something I would suggest. Doesn't have to be a credit card, but just the same card every time, so you don't have to sort through multiple statements. When it comes to something I use that was helpful, I don't use it anymore because I like the spreadsheet better, but I was using an app called Truebill. And I thought that was cool because it would tally up my subscriptions. And there were some old subscriptions I didn't even know I had still. And it was like $5 here and there. And I'm like, that adds up. If you have like four things, $5 is it's $20, but it's $20 you could be putting somewhere else that you don't really um think about. So that goes back to the misconception of trying to keep track of everything in our head. It's so hard to keep track of subscriptions. Like you have Netflix, Hulu, you have a course you're paying for. There's so many different online things that it's hard to keep track of your monthly expenses. There's no way you can keep track of these subscriptions. And then it tells you like if you want to cancel a subscription, it'll do it for you. So I really like that aspect of the app. But outside of that, I just use the spreadsheet.
Yeah, you just mentioned an app and I realized that I was using Mint as my app. And it would kind of you link all your accounts to the Mint account and it breaks down your monthly expenses, how your spending habits have been over the last 3 months. It tells you, I think similar things. It's like you spent a abnormally high amount on travel. Was this you? Like, because you have your budgets on things you're about to send. And I'm like, yo, leave me alone. Yeah,
Yeah, it holds you accountable. I remember one time mine came in and it's like, you spent 40% more this month. I'm like, what? It's the first week of the month.
yeah, no, it has you feeling some type of way, and then you click it just to like check and make sure, like, oh, you're
Yeah,
like, oh crap, like
yeah,
I'm way over on my gym budget, or I'm way over on my clothing budget or grocery budget for this month, and it's a quick way
yeah.
to kind of put you in check and be like, all right, I gotta chill out a little bit.
That is a good thing about that about using like something like an app because it reminds you things like that as opposed to with the spreadsheet. If you don't put it in, you don't really know. So
Hmm.
I think the spreadsheet takes a little bit more discipline and like
Hmm.
I guess determination.
Hmm.
So but I think both options are good, but it does kind of humble you. I
Oh,
know I
one.
was humbled last month, so I'm excited to my birthday.
Yeah, it told me you spent an abnormally high amount on like I bought a course and it was like gym. It went on the gym and it's just like you spent $3,000 on gym. I was like, that's not gym, but yeah. I was like, thanks for the reminder. But over the course of your years and as you started to make more throughout your career, what are some of the things that you learned about money, about budgeting that you want to kind of break down to the people that are listening?
Definitely, as you make more money, you're gonna want to spend more, and I feel like it's easier just to do that. So like it's okay to do that for a couple months, but I think you really need to sit down and make time every month, whether it's like the first week of the month or the week before the new month, and really like plan out everything so that you don't dig yourself into a hole. I think it's so easy to dig yourself into a hole financially, especially as you make more money because you feel like you have more to spend when you probably could be cutting down and like paying for debts that you accrued before. So that's something I learned. I know in PT school I had a like a higher credit card balance because I was using it more often. So I really had to like just pay that down and not spend my money on senseless stuff, although I still do that at times. But I think I'm a lot better because I set time to look at it. Like you are gonna make mistakes. I don't think budgeting is like gonna be perfect, especially the first year in it. But it does give you some sort of feedback loop that you can use to make corrections and like reflect. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with what you said. And I also think that we're not going to be making the same amount of money throughout the for the next 50 years. You're probably going to see an increase in your income. But if you find that like if you're single right now and you're, let's say we'll use myself, like if I'm living at home, so I don't have rent right now. So I'm able to take care of the extra, to use the extra income that I would be paying on rent to be able to put into other savings account for when I do make the move out of here. So I'm able to stack up the bread for when it comes time to put down a down payment on an apartment or a house. Who knows what that might be? But it's because I have a game plan of what I want to do with my next move. Like I'm not just having making money just to spend it all. So I know what I need to cover the essentials and I'm living well at that level. Like I'm not trying to splurge on anything extra. And I'm not saying that I don't, because I definitely do splurge every once in a while, but the end goal is there for the move out of Alaska. So what do I need to do to make sure that my decisions are leading towards that move out of Alaska next summer? I put a date on it. I know when I want to move, and now it's just about building the game plan, following the game plan to get there. And so I think it's once you start to make more money, like you go from being in PT school, you getting money from loans and stuff, you ain't really working like that. But once you get a job and student loans were, delayed or frozen for the last 2 years, so that's extra bread coming your way. You could go like Carell was saying, you could start buying like lobster dinners every week, or you know, you could go Gucci bags and Rolexes and go splurge. But if you don't got a plan with what you want to do with the future, you're just kind of just going down in a downward spiral. Over time, it's gonna catch up to you. Because then now loans are about to start hitting back up in January. Like all your expenses are about to start coming back. And if you don't got a plan ready to attack that or account for that extra income, that or extra expense that's going to come, it's going to be a problem. And you're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to be mad. You're going to be sad. You're going to be depressed. Like you just got to have a plan and stick to it. But also be flexible with your spending and yourself within your budget.
I like that. You said a lot. I just want to say, finally, making everybody laugh. I love it. I love that for
Look,
you.
look, it's always been in the plans. And so I just can't do the winters, man.
Yeah,
I can't do the winters.
you're still gonna have winter.
Yeah, but a winter somewhere
I'm
else
just kidding.
is better than here.
No, but on a more serious note, I do think it's definitely important to have a game plan, especially with the student loans, because if you're not on a certain plan and you gotta pay $1,000 a month depending on how much you owe, that's scary. If you're just spending that on like lifestyle now, and then you gotta give that to the student loans, you're gonna be sad, crazy. So
And it's hard. It's also hard to like be spending a lot or living a certain lifestyle and then having to bring yourself back down to like your student life. It's way
yeah,
easier to go from student to up to like the lavish life versus going from the lavish life down to the student.
yeah,
It's more of an ego check, but it's more
it's
humbling.
humbling. It's humbling. I know some people got some car notes now, and then when the student loans come, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but that's a different story. But I want to talk about working with a professional to manage your finances. I think that making that move was very important because, like, right now, at one point, I was trying to like learn stocks and options trading and investing. And I feel like you have to put a lot of time into that to actually get good at it. And right now, that's not like my main focus, but I do still want to be investing. So it was a no brainer to have somebody help me with that is an expert in that field. as opposed to me trying to handle everything. Like I'm only an expert in like one or two things. Everything else I do want help for, and if I can get it and it's affordable and worth it for me, I'm gonna definitely do it. So that was really key for me hiring the financial advisor.
Same here. Because I'm gonna be honest, I have my investing history and my retirement history. Know anything about that is slim to none. And I was like, you can search up all this stuff and find all this information on Google, but you don't know if it's accurate. You don't know if they don't have, it's not specified to you. And that's why I think being able to talk to different people and have them learn about your story and you learn about them and what they can offer you when it comes to your plans and what you're trying to accomplish financially and like lifestyle wise. And when it comes time to retire, I think it's easier then to be able to one, focus your questions, and two, you have someone who's done it before and they're an expert in their field, like, and they can help guide you to the correct path. Because it's like, look, if I had questions about a Roth IRA, I'm not gonna go to or like long-term investments, I'm not gonna go to someone who doesn't have experience in the investing field. That doesn't make any sense. Like if I know somebody who is an expert at the field and knows what they're doing and has results based on what they've been able to accomplish with themselves or their clients, and I'm more likely to go to that one because they have a history of doing it, not just like a one-time thing or, oh, I saw this online, so this is what I'm doing, when it's not really tailored to you. Like that don't make no sense.
And I think going to the expert is key, but I also think that with all of the like entrepreneurship going on, everybody's an expert in something. It's easy to fall in the trap of trying to use like social media and things you see on the internet to guide what you do when a lot of that advice a lot of times is not specific to your situation. So I'm really working with somebody one on one and like you said, letting them know your story and how they can help you specifically based on your goals is probably the better like route to go as opposed to trying to do everything yourself based off of miscellaneous information you're seeing on social media that doesn't really apply to you. So that was another thing with me, but I think some people have trouble doing that because of like ego. I think like Chris said, like they want to just handle everything. They like feel like they're the expert in like everything in their life, or sometimes they have too much pride to ask about.
Mhm.
And I feel like with finances, it shouldn't be like that because everybody starts somewhere and like not getting the professional help might be the determining factor with how much you are able to retire with, how much you are able to invest. Just acknowledging the fact that you don't know everything. Somebody does know more than you in this field.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it starts with you as an individual first. You got to understand that you need help, and then you got to be able to have a good BS meter for what you see on socials. Like if someone's claiming you're going to see a 10% increase if you, I mean, double your income if you invest in this, red flag. Like you gotta like trying to get guarantees in the financial industry when it comes to like stock market investing, very hard to do. Um, so I think just being able to question what you see on socials, but being able to ask those questions also of like, how is this going to help me? Is this legit? Do they have a plan to help me move forward? I think those are all important things to be able to recognize and move forward with when you're making a decision on who to go to for financial advice.
Yep, I agree. Did you ever think that you would have a financial planner before this year?
No, no, it didn't really like we didn't really grow, at least when I was growing up, we didn't really talk about money like that. We just kind of talk about taking care of the bills and surviving. And then the rest of the money gets sent back to Gambia for like building like property and land and stuff for like long term down the line. But we never really talked about like investing or like retirement or anything like that. So I didn't think I was gonna have one, but that's just because I didn't grow up with it until you start to understand oh, like I don't know nothing about any of this, so I need to get my game up right now and not wait. So that's you. Did you think you was gonna have one?
No, I didn't think I was gonna have one because, like I know a couple of people that I went to high school with that went to school for like, I guess like I don't know what you go to school for. I don't think you have to go to school for anything in particular, but you do have to do some training. So they were like in that field and like we did a couple calls and stuff together, but I don't think that I was confident in their ability to help me because they didn't really dig deep into like my situation. Like I was in PT school, I had a lot of debt because of school, and it was like information that or advice they were giving me that didn't make sense to me. And I think that was just because they didn't like know my story, my goals. But when I started working with Chris, like that was like the way he approached it was different and the plan made sense to me. So it was a no-brainer to work with them. So initially I didn't think so, but it didn't take much convincing once like I saw the plan. Like I think if I believe that you can help me and the plan makes sense and I don't feel like I can do it on my own, that's what made the difference.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think after the second call, he broke down like the different scenario. Like I was in the airport, so I was already tired, and I was like, I was following along, but I was like, this makes a lot of sense, and I could see it all in front of me. Like I don't, he's not just telling me stuff, but we're talking about potential family size. We're looking at what it's gonna look, how much I'm gonna have to owe back at the end of my 20 years when it's time to pay back. If my family size increases or if it stays at this level, X, 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 X. So I was like, this makes a lot of sense. And he's laid out how we're going to get to being able to have that money for when that time comes to pay that bill. And I was like, all right, bet. And I'm saving less money or I'm putting less money towards the loan in the long run too. So I was like, that makes sense to me. Save less money. I mean, I put less money into the loan. I have a way to get this tax bill taken care of when it comes out. And then I have extra money for whatever I want to do when it comes time to splurge. So I mean not splurge, but when it comes time to retire. Um but I think it checked all the boxes for me and whenever I had questions, he had answers for them. But he also was like straight up and like, we don't know what's gonna happen in the next 10 years with the market. I mean, we're down right now, but we don't know what's gonna happen in 10 years. But we're prepared for it if it does continue to go down. This is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna change it. So you're looking at the most optimistic scenario, but you also have in case it still is dropping, what are we going to do about it? So I liked having all the bases covered and not just, not prepared for the worst, but also prepared for the best as well.
Another thing I liked was I think Jasmine touched on it on the last episode, but some financial advisors just try to sell you life insurance, like a life insurance policy. And I know she wasn't like fond of that, but I think that when you give somebody like all their options and not just tell them like, oh, we're just going to get life insurance, like when you break down all the different components, I think it makes sense. So I forgot where I was going with this point, but I like the fact that like it wasn't only the market because like you said, you don't know what's gonna happen in 10 years. Like if your tax bill was due this year and the market is the way it is now, you're shit out of luck. So the fact that you have life insurance is helpful. But I think if a financial planner, financial advisor just was like, hey, just get life insurance and rely on that, I wouldn't be fond of it either. So I say all that to say, like find somebody that is very qualified and like shows you all of the options, not just the ones that benefit them as well, and um, like use that to help your situation. I think like when it's mutually beneficial for both parties, that's when you get the best results.
Facts. That's a good way. That's a good way to that's a good way to end it. I feel like. Um, but if there's any questions about budgeting or financial advising and how we feel about our working with Chris and Varela Financial, you guys can hit us up and we'll answer any questions that you have. And we'll be as honest as we always are. And if you feel like it's a good decision for you, then you can, hop on a call with Chris and you can discuss your plan further with him. But we're both working with him and we really enjoy working with him. So we got nothing but great things to say about him. So on that note, anything else you want to add, Key?
No, just start budgeting today.
Yeah.
So you can go into the new year with the fresh start, clarity, and get ahead on your goals.
Yeah. Don't wait till December 31st or January 1st. Start now. There's no point in waiting out until then.
On that note, catch you on the next one.
Peace.